Happy Thursday. Nice to see everybody. Wow, okay, big group already. I can see Kyle and Izzy and Erica and Tate and Melinda and Vicky and just a whole bunch of all y'all. Thanks for being here. This is the purpose of making worlds. I've taught versions of this class before, and I'm excited to teach it again today. This is a very important principle in LSAT logic games. It really can make or break your success on the test. So hopefully today's class will be helpful. I have Abigail here from LSAT Demon. Hi, Abigail. Hello. Abigail's going to help me to keep an eye on the public chat. If you have questions that you want to ask in the chat, just feel free to fire away. If you're too shy to ask it in the public chat, you can ask Abigail background questions. Oh, Jen's here too. Hi, Jen, from LSAT Demon. So we got two helpers, Jen and Abigail, both to help keep an eye on the public and private chats. We have 3 games on our agenda today. And the first one is real easy. And then the next 2 are slightly harder. I'm not gonna focus so much on the questions today as I am gonna focus on the setup, because one thing that we hear all the time is just, once I get the setup, I'm fine. And yeah, that's kind of how it works. When we set up a game properly, we solve the system. And when we solve the system, then we're able to just go answer question after question after question, like piece of cake. It really is no problem if we make the connections that are there to be made up front. I was teaching a class earlier today where people were expressing to me that they were really intimidated by the logic games because they felt like they had to do them right. And I want to stress that my method and our method here at LSAT Demon broadly is not about finding one right solution. What we really want to teach you how to do is to just improvise. We're not going to try to put square pegs into round holes or round pegs into square holes. We're not going to talk very much about game types at all. We're not going to be memorizing templates and then trying to, use these preordained templates to solve the games. Instead, we're going to be reading carefully, understanding what we're reading, making whatever connections there are to be made, and just figuring it out, improvising a solution. There's one thing that every game in history has in common with every other game. And there are 400 of these games. One thing they have in common is that every single time, 400 for 400, they have given the test taker all the information they need to answer every question with certainty. There's one right answer. It's objectively correct. There are 4 wrong answers. They are objectively wrong. And they've never not been that way. They've always been perfect. So as you continue to prepare for the LSAT, the one thing I really want you to remind yourself of when you sit down to any new game is that you really don't have to be intimidated, because there are many ways to solve these puzzles, and they have always given you all of the information you need to answer every question with certainty. So to that extent, the LSAT is easy. And with some of the techniques that I'm going to show you in today's class, I think you can start to see how easy the test really is. I'm going to try to save some time for questions. Well, tell you what, let me set up this first game and then I'll see if anybody has any questions. That sound good? All right. Chat's open, by the way. So if you want to make questions or comments, ask questions or make comments along the way, feel free to fire away in the chat or have background conversations with Abigail and Jen. Okay, so the first game on the agenda today is this game from Prep Test J. We used to call this the June 2007 test. It's the first game from June 2007, Test J. And it says, a company employee generates a series of 5-digit product codes in accordance with the following rules. And there's just 4 rules. So the first rule says, the codes use the digits 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and no others. Okay. Second rule says, each digit occurs exactly once in any code. Okay, so the digits that are available are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the second rule says every one of those digits occurs exactly once in a code. So learn what you can learn at that point. We know that these are going to be, it already told us, but we know again that these are going to be 5-digit codes using the 5 digits 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we have to use all 5 of those numbers exactly once. So we can't use a number twice. We can't leave a number out. We must use the numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 exactly once each. All right. The third rule says the second digit has a value exactly twice that of the first digit. Take a breath. I know you were told there would be no math. This is a tiny amount of math. You guys can handle it because a 6th grader can handle it. Exactly twice. The second digit is exactly twice the first. And you look at the digits 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you go, well, twice 0 is 0, so that doesn't make any sense. Twice 1 is 2. So the first digits could be 1, 2. Twice 2 is 4. So the first 2 digits could be 2 and 4. But 2 times 3 is 6, and there's no 6. 2 times 4 is 8, and there's no 8. So right away, we learn that the first 2 digits of the code have to be 1 and 2, or 2 and 4. Last rule says that the value of the third digit is less than the value of the 5th. But I would leave that rule aside for a moment. Because I want to talk about making worlds. The name of this class was the purpose of making worlds, purpose for making worlds. And the purpose for making worlds is to eliminate rules, to simplify the game by eliminating rules. And what I mean by eliminating rules is I'm going to bake them into a solution so that I can no longer violate the rules. And it's vastly simpler than you think. If I went through the whole game at top speed and I made my worlds and then I split my worlds, you would be like, oh my God, this dude is a wizard, okay? I am not a wizard. What I'm doing is all it is a series of baby steps. Okay, it's one simple step at a time with a goal of eliminating the rules by baking them into what I call worlds. These worlds are all of the solutions in the game, all of the acceptable solutions to the game, divided into one or two or more worlds. And maybe it's just easiest to demonstrate. There's 5 spots in the code, right? So we always are going to be looking at a product code with 5 spots. Okay. I learned, because of the third rule, I'm using the third rule here to build my worlds. There are only 2 ways to satisfy that third rule. If the second digit is going to be exactly twice the first digit, then the first 2 digits must be 1 and 2 or 2 and 4. And so that's where I'm going to make my first split in this worlds-based approach to the game. I don't care about the 3rd, 4th, and 5th digits for now. I don't care about the last rule that said the 3rd digit has to be less than the 5th digit. I don't care about the fact that I have to use all 5 digits exactly once. I don't care about my list of available digits. All I'm focusing on here is the second digit has a value exactly twice the first. And that gives me 2 worlds. A 1-2 world and a 2-4 world. There are no other worlds. This is arbitrary. You don't have to solve the game this way. But the reason why I think it's a good idea to solve the game this way is that as long as I start my code with 1-2 or 2-4, I have satisfied the rule that the second digit has a value exactly twice that of the first. Careful with your mics, guys. Somebody's got an open mic. We've got 1-2 and 2-4, and as long as I stick with that, where every solution starts 1-2 or 2-4, then I'm not ignoring any possibilities. There aren't any other ways to do the game. It's always either 1-2 or 2-4. And there's no overlap between these two. It's always going to be like this, or it's going to look like this. And the beautiful thing that happens is at that point, now I get to forget about that third rule. I never have to think about that third rule again. The second digit is always exactly twice the first, as long as I start here or here. The purpose of making worlds is to eliminate rules. From here, I get to play a simpler game, because in this world, I'm just looking at 0, 3, and 4. And I have really one rule left. You know, I have to use a 0, I have to use a 3, and I have to use a 4. Okay, fine. The one rule that's left is the value of the third digit is less than the value of the fifth. And now I have an option. I could split that world if I wanted to. Here, I'm left with 0, 1, and 3. And really just one rule. The value of the third digit is less than the value of the fifth. But even if I just decided, you know what, this is a pretty solid start. I've got limited flexibility left in this world. I've got limited flexibility left in this world. I'll just go ahead and answer the questions. Even if I just stop here, I'm already killing this game because I'm playing a simpler game from this point forward. But I can go a step further. Do you want to see what it looks like if I go one step further, just one more split? Okay, so I've got this rule still, right? The value of the third digit is less than the value of the fifth. And that rule has not yet been satisfied here, nor has it been satisfied here. But I want to make sure that I don't break it. I mean, I have to satisfy that rule. So, well, this digit, I know that I'm left with 0, 3, and 4 in this world, right? Okay, so if the value of the third digit is less than the value of the fifth, then there's no way this is 4, because then I'd be left with 0 and 3, and neither of those are less than 4. So that doesn't make any sense. So this digit has to be 0 or 3. And that's an opportunity for a split. And let me just show you. I meant to give myself a little bit more room here, so I'm going to just slightly redraw this diagram. Okay, so I'm going to leave the 2, 4 solutions alone. I'm only looking at the 1, 2 world, and I'm going to apply this idea that the value of the third digit is less than the value of the fifth. I've got 0, 3, and 4 left to play with. So the third digit could be 0, or it could be 3. Now I'm going to think through the remainder of that rule. When the third digit is 0, well, whether this digit is 3 or 4, I've already satisfied the rule, right? So all I'm left with up here is a 3 and a 4, and they can go in either order. And so I'm just going to go ahead and incorporate that. This is 3 and 4, and that little handle means that they can switch. Fairly straightforward. Here, if the third digit is 3, it has to be less than the fifth digit. The fifth digit can be 0 or 4, but if it's 0, I break the rule. So it has to be 4, which means this has to be 0. And at that point, I have incorporated all of the rules of the game into these templates. I have very little flexibility left, just these guys can trade. Was it worth doing that split? I say yes, because at that point I would get to forget about that rule, at least as far as my 1, 2 worlds are concerned. Let's see how this happens. Let's see what happens in the 2, 4 world. So first thing I would do if I'm going to make the split is I'm going to just copy what I've got so far. So this is 2 versions of the 2, 4 world. And again, I'm splitting based on the third spot. The third spot, I'm left with 0, 1, and 3. So the third spot can be 0 or 1. When it's 0, these 2 spots are going to be 1 and 3, and I don't really care which is which because both of those numbers are higher than 0. When the third digit is 1, if I've got 0 and 3 left, then this has to be 3, and this has to be 0. And at that point, the game is completely done. The purpose for making worlds in the first place was to eliminate the rule the second digit has a value exactly twice that of the first. I killed that rule by making a 1, 2 world and a 2, 4 world. I still had a rule remaining though, and it was a kind of a nasty one. It was a little bit of a pain in the ass. Like the value of the third digit is less than the value of the fifth, and I had a few different ways of satisfying that in each of my 2 worlds. So, hey, let me try to do a split and see if I can eliminate that rule, which I did. At this point, I get to forget about the rules. And I want to emphasize the word get. I get to, not I did, or I not like I accidentally forgot. I get to forget. I don't have to continue to think about that rule. I've baked the rule in such a way that I can't possibly break the rule anymore. By the way, I didn't make arbitrary choices. I didn't just like say, oh, well, one way to do it would be 1, 2, 3, 0, 4. Because if I had just written down this, well, that's one arbitrary solution to the game. And yeah, it doesn't break any of the rules, but it ignores these solutions, and this solution. So we're never just arbitrarily going like, well, here's one solution. That's not what Worlds is. What Worlds is it's showing all of the possible solutions in such a way that I can no longer break the rules. As it turns out, this game has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total solutions. It's a very simple game. And from here, you can crush the questions, all of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, without ever looking again at the rules. Perfect time for questions. Jen and Abigail are doing too good of a job answering your questions. That's excellent. All right, I'm going to erase this and we're going to do another one. All right. That one's too easy. Truth is, they're all too easy. Keep practicing. The LSAT logic games are easy. Games is the section that causes people the most trouble when they first start. It's also the section that if you're ever going to score perfect on any section, it's probably the games. If you're going to ever get reliably perfect on any section, it's definitely the games. If you're going to score perfectly on a section in 20 minutes, it's absolutely the games. I've seen people go from 3 in 35 minutes, 3 points in 35 minutes, all the way to a perfect 23 in 35 minutes. I have people in every cohort that make that leap. It's not even really that remarkable anymore when people make that leap. I mean, I'll give you a high five, but it's not like shocking when somebody goes from, yeah, that was my worst section, now it's my best. You just got to practice. All right, so this next game, again, I'm just working down the syllabus. Next game has 6 park rangers, JKLMOP, each being assigned to monitor one of 3 areas, Area 1, Area 2, Area 3, in a national park. At least 1 ranger, but no more than 3, is assigned to each area. The assignment must conform to the following conditions. Mendez is assigned to Area 3. Oh my God, really? Okay, so when they just give you where someone goes, it's almost as if that player is not even in the game. You know, it's like really what we're doing is we're assigning 5 people to 3 areas because the 6th guy, Mendez, is just sitting there always in Area 3. Doesn't move. It's not really a player in the game, just a placeholder kind of. Neither Olson nor Pruitt is assigned to Area 1. Immediately I go, okay, so Olson and Pruitt, O and P, both have to go in 2 or 3. Larson is assigned to the same area as either K or M, but not to the same area as both. That rule is a bit of a doozy. Hopefully, if I make Worlds properly, I will be able to eliminate that rule from contention. I know where Mendez is. You know, Mendez is in 3. So Larson could be with Mendez, in which case K's not there. Otherwise, Larson is with K, but that would have to be in group 1 or 2. Immediately, I start thinking about making 3 worlds based on where Larson is. You know, if I make 3 worlds based on Larson, I'm going to learn things about where K can go. I'm going to learn things about, you know, I'm going to be filling up spots. That's really kind of an interesting approach. Last rule, though, and I will always read all the rules before I make any decisions. So the last rule says, if Olson is in area 2, and I immediately go, oh, Olson. So Olson, who can't be in area 1, if Olson is in area 2, then Jefferson is in the same area as Koguchi. J and K are together. Otherwise, J and K are not together. They're in a different area. So if Olson's in 2, then J and K have to be together wherever they are. If Olson is not in 2, then J and K have to be separated. All right. I see people asking, like, when do I make worlds? Is it always a good idea to make worlds? And I think you should probably just, well, if you want to be like me, well, I shouldn't say that. If you want to do the games like I do, you should, I think you should accept the idea that you're always making worlds. The question is if you're going to split them or not. Okay, because when we solve the system, one way of thinking about it is we're just going to make a picture of the world we're living in. Okay, so the world we're living in always has Mendez in area 3. If I was going to solve this game with just one world, I'll label my groups up on the top, area 1, 2, 3. And then Mendez, always in 3. Okay. That's the world we're living in. Even if I don't split from here, even if I just stick with one world, I think I'm making worlds. I mean, I'm trying to solve the system. I'm trying to bake the rules into my picture as best I can. So this is right now a one world approach. The world we're living in has Mendez in 3 always. Now the question is, okay, that's the first rule, but I've got a rule that says O and P can't be in 1, so they're either in 2 or 3, but the thing is, you know, they could be O in 2, P in 3, P in 2, O in 3. They could both be in 2, they could both be in 3. So I could make 4 worlds to eliminate that rule. That's not super attractive, 4 worlds, not right off the bat. I might end up at 4, but that seems like kind of a hassle. Third rule, I can eliminate in 3 worlds because L, if L's in 1, then K goes there. If L's in 2, then K goes there. If L's in 3, then K does not go there because that's L with M. So 3 worlds would eliminate the third rule. That's pretty good. I guess I could make 2 worlds to eliminate the last rule. Olson either is or is not in 2. But then I would have a lot of flexibility still, because when Olson's in 2, I don't know where J and K are. I just know that they have to be together. Okay, so I'm going to attack this with that third rule. Larson is with either K or M, but not both. And there's 3 different places where Larson can go. So I'm going to make 3 different worlds based on Larson. Now, anytime I split, I'm always going to be copying down the world that I already have. So this, I'm going to copy down 3 times. I'll draw a little line to separate. And critically, I'm always going to copy down M is in 3. I can't forget about that. I mean, that's the world we're living in. So even if I split it, M is still in 3. All right, now the purpose for splitting worlds here is to eliminate the rule about Larson. Watch, this rule is going to be dead. Larson can go in 1, 2, or 3. There aren't any other possibilities. Larson can only go in 1, 2, and 3. I have to put Larson somewhere. There's 3 places where Larson can go, 1, 2, and 3. All right, now I'm going to apply the rule. Larson has to be with either K or M, but not both. Well, here L is not with M, so K has to follow along. Here, L is not with M, so K has to follow along. Here, L is with M. So I'll make a note now that K, maybe I'll do it right up here. Hopefully you guys can see this. K can't be there. And at that point, poof, magic. The third rule disappears. The purpose for making worlds is to eliminate rules. It's to carve out more room in your brain to process the rules that remain. I've baked the third rule in. As long as I'm here, here, or here, then look at that giant mountain ant. You see that? Sorry. The third rule, L has to go with K or M, has been fully satisfied. I can't break the rule. L with K, or L with M. And here I just have a little note that says, yeah, just don't put K there because L can't go with both M and K at the same time. All right, what's left? Cycle back through the rules. I hate that last rule, the rule if Olson is in 2, then Jefferson is in the same area as Kikuchi. Otherwise, Jefferson is in a different area than Kikuchi. So what do you think? Split? We know that Olson can't go in 1. Olson can only go in 2 or 3. So in this world, if Olson were here, then J would have to be here. If Olson were here, then J would have to not be here. That might be worth making the split. In this world, if Olson were here, oh, wait a second. If Olson were here in this world, then J would have to be there as well. But that would be 4 people in one group. And we had a limitation in the paragraph part in the starting setup of this game, 4 max per group. Sorry, 3 max per group. You guys see that? If I put Olson here, wow. So in this world, I don't even have to split. In this world, Olson's just going to be in group 3. Here, if Olson's in 2, then J and K have to be together. If Olson's in 3, then J and K have to be separated, which means J and K would have to be in 1 and 2 flip-flopping. So I am going to do the split, but I only have to do the split in this world and in this world. So here we go. Whoops, let me give myself a little more room. Olson can be in 2 or 3. When Olson's in 2, J has to be with K. When Olson's in 3, J can't be with K. So J has to be here or here. In this world, if I put Olson in 2, it would break the game because if Olson was here, then J would have to be here too, but that would be 4 people in one, what is it, park? One area? Yeah, so that doesn't work. So in this world, Olson just has to go here, which then means J can't be with K. So now J has to go here or here, and I'll come back to that. I have a feeling J has to go over here, because this can't be P. Actually, I won't even come back to it. I'll just deal with it right now. This can't be P, and I do have to have at least one ranger in each area. So if P can't go here, and it's not L, K, M, or O, then this just has to be J. and then P can go here or here, and this world is done. In this world, Olsen in 2 means that J and K have to go together. And you know what? The same thing is going to happen again. In this world, J and K have to go together, but P can't go in 1. Somebody has to go in 1. This is handling a few different rules at once. So once again, you might think that I'm a wizard. I'm really not. This is just baby steps, but this one's a little bit more of a leap because I'm processing a couple rules at once. In this world, I'm only left with J, K, and P. P cannot go in 1. J and K must go together when O's in 2. So J and K have to go in 1 to satisfy the rule that I have to have somebody there, which then means P can go either here or here. In the world where O does not go in 2, that means O goes in 3 because O can never go in 1. Now J and K have to be separated. There are only 2 groups left for J and K. There's also only 1 group left for P. So this world is going to resolve itself into J and K flip-flopping in 1 and 2 because they have to be separate. P goes in 3. P goes in 2. Wow. I know I lost some of you. That's totally fine. You can run the tape back. You can watch other videos. You can take it step by step. I would encourage you to try to work your way through it by yourself. I would encourage you to watch a little bit of the video, hit pause and work on it on your own for as long as you need to. When you get stuck, hit unpause, watch a little bit more of the video. I don't intend for everybody to be able to follow all of the steps that I just made in this solution, but at this point, pretty much game over. The only thing that's left in this world, I've got P, which like J, can go either in 2 or 3. One of them has to go here, J or P, because I don't have anybody there yet. In this world, P is going to go in 2 or 3 because P has to go somewhere. This world's done. The only thing I don't know is P. This world, same thing. I just don't know P. This world done except for J and K are flip-flopping. I ended up with 5 worlds and I have totally incorporated all the rules in the game. I don't need to remember any of the rules. I can see at least some of you nodding. So that's, what I did is valid. And if you maybe run it back, maybe watch it a couple times and you'll get the hang of all of those. You know, this is like the accumulation of 45 baby steps. So it looks like a lot, but I promise it's not that much. To recap what I did, I made 3 worlds based on L. That's how I started. L can go in 1, 2, or 3. Then I split this world based on whether O was in 2 or 3. In this world, I made the inference that O just always has to be in 3 or else it would break that world. Then here I split based on whether O was in 2 or 3. And then from there, all the other pieces just fell into place. And that's that game. That's a much more difficult game. So if you're really struggling with this, I would just, watch the tape again, go back and do the other easier game. Make sure you really understand the first game that we did today. All right, we got some hands up. Mariana.
Yes, I think I might have missed it, but I have a question. In the 3rd world, so the world closest, that world, yes. You put J and K in 1. Is there a reason why J and K could not gone into, never mind, I just answered my own question. J and K can't go to 2 because P can't go to 1 and it has to go to 3. Okay, thank you.
Well, because somebody has to go in group 1. So
right.
And I know that that's where I lost, I probably lost 25% of the class at that point. So thank you for asking that question. But yeah, right here, the reason why J and K have to go there is because O was here, M was here, L was here. I only have J, K, and P left. P can't go here ever, but somebody
Right.
has to go there. There's a rule that says every area has to have at least one of the rangers. J and K, when O's in 2, J and K have to be together. So if it's just J, K together and P, well, P can't go there, so J and K have to go there. So that's what this step was.
I
And
got
know
hung up
lost.
thinking that O, J, and K couldn't be together. And I kept reviewing that rule. I'm like, this doesn't work. Why not? But then when I re-explained it back and asked the question, now it makes sense. So thank you, Nathan.
You're welcome. Thanks for asking the question.
Sure.
Francesca.
Hi. Okay, so this is my first time in the world's world, so I don't understand this, which is beside the point of my question, because I'll get it. But once you set it up like this, theoretically, if I understood the way it's set up, how do you look at this while you're looking at the questions?
Let me demonstrate. So, for example, number 7 says, if Olson is the sole ranger assigned to area 2. So now I don't have to process my rules again. All I have to do is just figure out which one or more of these worlds I can be in to answer question number 7. So again, if Olson is the sole ranger assigned to area number 2, can that happen here?
Yes.
Yeah, if P were over here.
Yeah.
Can it happen here? No,
No.
because I was already in 3. Can't happen here because O's in 3. Can't happen here because O's in 3. Could happen here if P were in 3. So for Olson to be the sole ranger in area 2, it's just these 2 worlds. And in both cases, the P has to shift over into area 3.
Okay, and so then do you like just keep both of those thoughts in your head while you're looking at the answers?
And I would
Like,
actually just predict the answer to this question, right? So it says, which one of the following could be the complete assignment of rangers to area 3? Contrast, by the way, watch the difference here, because what you guys do is you brute force it, okay? You grind your way through these questions and you do process of elimination, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna just tell you what the possible answers could be.
Mhm.
When O is the sole ranger in area 2, then area 3 is either M and P or ML and P. And one of those is the answer to question number 7, and I haven't even looked at the answer choices yet. Okay, it's MP or MLP. Scan the answers, C.
Okay, got it. That's very cool. Thank
See
you.
the difference?
Yeah.
I mean, y'all spend forever like comparing answers to each other and testing variables. And when you really master this approach, you're like, oh, well, there's only 2 ways to have O be the sole ranger in area 2. And what are you asking me about? Area 3? Yeah, it's either MP or MLP. What's the answer? MP, boom. Next, it's a piece of cake. Izzy.
Hey,
Hey.
so I've been practicing trying to do the world building when I approach logic games, and it definitely takes longer than just doing a regular diagram. But you can answer the questions quicker if you have the worlds. But it's like I'm struggling to find balance between like taking so much time and exhausting a diagram versus like getting a diagram that I feel like pretty comfortable with. How long would you say is like the ideal to spend?
As long
like
as it takes.
We talk through this slow, but like some
as
of
it
them,
takes.
like it takes so long.
Eventually, you will let go of your worry. I understand exactly what you're asking. Eventually, you will come to the realization that as long as I am productively solving the system, it's always a good investment of my time.
Yeah, like the first problem when I solved it, I had 6 different like options, but it took me like so long to get 6 different codes. But then once I had them all, I answered the question so fast.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen.
That's
where we're going.
I get the benefit, but it just takes a long time to like incorporate all of the rules. But I'm getting quick. I guess we just have to get quicker. and then
Just
it doesn't
just-
matter.
Just keep practicing. Stop trying to be quick. Instead, just go deep.
Cool.
Okay, real quick. I do have one more setup that I have to do before we wrap it up. Daniel, and then Lara.
Hi, yeah, it's simple. It's kind of like just to understand like the fundamental approach to building the worlds and then splitting is to first like identify one rule that you think you can start building worlds off of, and then kind of move from there. Like
Yes.
you need to start from one rule that you pick, and then build
Yeah,
off.
one variable or one rule. Frequently, it'll be a variable who was mentioned in multiple rules. And there's tons of different ways to do it. I could have started that game splitting based on whether O was in 2 or not. I could have easily started with 2 worlds. I could have started with O in 2 and O in 3. Made the inferences that were able to be, that I could have made about J and K. Maybe L starts getting bossed around in one or more of those, or one or both of those worlds. And then I could have split those 2 worlds based on where L goes. There's lots of different ways to do it. If you stick with me, if you stay in class with me, you will frequently see me give people a suggestion like, hey, and I'll do it right now. Redo that game we just did, but make an entirely different split first. So try that game again, but make worlds based on O instead of worlds based on L as your first split, and see what happens.
Thank you.
I think you could just as easily make worlds based on probably K. Try making worlds based on K. Try making worlds based on, I don't know. Try making worlds based on P. I don't know. P's a wild card, so it seems, or almost a wild card, so it seems unlikely that that's going to make a lot of stuff happen. But you never know. You can be surprised. So I would just encourage you to try that game multiple different ways. All right, Laura, and then I'm going to dive into this last setup.
Yeah, my question was similar to Daniel's. I did the diagram, but I started with O instead of L. And I was going to ask, am I supposed to get the same results as if I was using L?
Yeah, but you might end up with a different number of worlds. You see how like...
Yeah, I did. So
yeah.
I was concerned a little bit about that.
No, because this is 2 solutions in one, right? Depending on whether P's here or here.
Yeah.
So that's a trivial amount of complexity. There's no point in splitting this, is there? See, that's like where there's an art to it a little bit. Like, do I want to split this into 2 so that I know exactly where P goes? And that's not a split that I would make, because I can picture, well, P goes here or here. What's the point of like redrawing the whole thing just so that I can put one guy in one place? That's dumb. But if you started with O, then you're almost definitely going to end up with different worlds. Like you'll be encompassing, or you'll be incorporating that trivial degree of complexity in different ways in your worlds. You will have decided to stop at different points in your worlds. So I ended up with 5 templates that incorporate, I guess there's 2 ways to do this, 4 ways here, 2 ways here, 2 ways here, 2 ways here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 12 total solutions to the game. No, 11, because J and P can't both go here. 11 total solutions to the game. If you start with O, you can find those exact same 11 solutions, but they won't be in 5 templates the way mine is. You might end up with 4 templates or 6 templates, or who knows how many templates you end up with. All right, let's dive into this last game about a film festival. If possible, I'm going to solve the game in one world, okay? If it's a really, really easy game, I'm going to learn as much as I can about the game. I'm going to eliminate rules. I'm going to incorporate the rules into one world in such a way that I just don't have to split into 2 or 3 or 5 or however many templates. So this game, I think, is an example of that. We've got 3 films, G, H, and L, shown during a film club's festival on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So the world we're living in is Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Each film is shown at least once during the festival, but never more than once on a given day. So it's 3 films max per day. And we've got 3 days. On each day, at least 1 film is shown. Okay, so there's no dark, no off days at the theater. Got it. On Thursday, Harvest is shown, and no film is shown after it on that day. Okay. On Friday, either Greed or Limelight, but not both, is shown, and no film is shown after it on that day. On Saturday, either Greed or Harvest, but not both, is shown, and no film is shown after it on that day. Well, I'm going to start with the first rule first, and I'm going to just make a picture, By the way, I see Brandon asking about game types in the chat. We don't do game types here. I'm not, that's leading you astray, okay? This is a schedule for a film festival. What would a schedule for a film festival look like? Well, I don't know, maybe it has columns for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then early shows at the top and late shows at the bottom. That's not a game type. That's like a real world solution to a puzzle that you might find in the real world. Okay, so it's like I can see it on, this is like a marquee or whatever. It's a signboard at the theater. Film festival, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. There's a max of 3 shows per day. Well, maybe I'll write the 3 spots. Now, I'm not going to be filling up all 3 of these spots per day, but I do have to have something every day. The first rule said that Harvest has to be shown on Thursday and no show is after it on that day. Okay, so maybe I'll just put Harvest in the very last spot. I can do that because there's not times here, right? So what I'm doing is I'm just putting Harvest in the bottom spot. There aren't any spots below that. So Harvest is on Thursday with nothing after it. In one world, I have eliminated the first rule. Second rule says on Friday, either Greed or Limelight, but not both, is shown, and no film is shown after it on that day. So this has to be Greed or Limelight, nothing else after it on that day. And I'm going to incorporate the rest of that rule onto Friday, because the only other film that might be shown here is Harvest. Once I put G or L here, I can't have both. So maybe I have Harvest as an earlier show, and I think I'll put parentheses around it. That's just like so the parentheses here means maybe. And this spot, I'm going to just black it out. There is no other spot. So the second rule has been incorporated fully here. I can't break it. As long as this is G or L, maybe I have Harvest before it, maybe I don't. But that's all the possible solutions for the rule on Friday, either Greed or Limelight is shown, but not both, and no film is shown after it on that day. Do you see what I'm doing? I'm just baking the rules in. The world I'm living in looks like this. Now, could I split? Sure, I could split. I could copy this whole thing based on G or L, but what's the point? That's a trivial degree of complexity. I can see it. This is G or L, don't care which one. And there's no need to make a split here because the rule has already been baked into my one world. The last rule in this game is exactly the same. On Saturday, either Greed or Harvest is shown, and it has to be the last show. So this is either G or H. I can't have both. So this might be L. And there can't be a third show that day. By the way, I am going from early on the top to late on the bottom, if you didn't catch that. But you know, that's kind of natural. That's how a calendar would look: early on the top, late on the bottom. And at that point, I'm done. This game is done. This game is killed in just one world. The purpose for making worlds is to eliminate rules. The purpose for splitting worlds is to eliminate rules. But I don't see any point in splitting here because I've already eliminated all the rules. I've baked all the rules into just one world. And at that point, I'm done. I would just answer the questions. I would like to answer your questions. I have a class at the top of the hour for LSAT Demon Live subscribers. At LSAT Demon Live, we have multiple live classes like this one happening 7 days a week. Basically, it's me and a whole lot of nicer, less scary teachers. I teach 3 or 4 days a week, and I love what I do, but I have a certain directness that does not quite resonate with everybody. And if you would like a more cuddly LSAT teacher, you can find them at LSAT Demon Live. We have, you know, like this Monday we had 6 classes. Today we have 4 classes. Earlier we've got, you know, it's like somewhere between 2 and 7 classes every single day. So check out that calendar if you are interested in coming and studying with me and a whole bunch of other nicer teachers. Let me answer a couple questions before I get out of here. Marissa.
Hey, thanks. I was just wondering if we needed to put on Thursday, like if you would, in theory, put in parentheses like the other 2 films in the other slots.
If I leave them blank, that means really anybody can go there.
Okay.
The reason why I did this and this is because it was a limitation, right? I'm doing this to limit those spots. Okay. This is by the way, these parentheses, if I confused you, the parentheses mean maybe, maybe not. So I put a maybe H here because that was the only person who could go there. I don't think I would put a maybe L or a maybe G here because this could be L, could be G, could be GL, could be neither, could be both, could be in either order. So I'll just leave them blank because it's just like any combination of G's and L's.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I panicked when I saw choices because I was like, I didn't even think about anything going before H, but I gotcha.
You're welcome. Anybody else? LSAT Logic Games is a huge opportunity for you. You can change your LSAT score and thereby change your entire trajectory for law school and your legal career. The games is an opportunity to demonstrate to the law schools how hard you're willing to work. You can bust your ass. You can do all 400 of the practice games. If you do even half of those games, I guarantee you'll make crazy progress. If you do all 400 of them, it's better than 50-50 that you'll be perfect in a timed 35-minute section of games before you're done doing all 400 of those games. You can say how hard you can work on your personal statement all you want, but everybody else can say that exact same shit. You can demonstrate how hard you can work via your LSAT score by busting your ass on the logic games until you're perfect. Jen's going to leave the meeting open for a little while. If you are having conversations in the background with her or in the public with her, you can continue those chat conversations. I got to go to my regular Thursday night class. I'll see some of you over there on the other side. Thanks for hanging out with me. This was really fun. I'm Nathan at lsatdemon.com. You can email me directly, or you can give me feedback on the course page. Really love to hear what you thought of the class and what you would like to see in the future. All right, thanks so much. See you guys next time. Bye.
Thank you.